The Spanish-American War began April 25, 1898 and ended August 12, 1898. This war was between the United States and Cuba, who were going against Spain. This war was fought in Cuba, Puerto Rico, the Philippines, and Guam, and they fought because the Cubans were struggling for independence from the Spaniards and the U.S. was a part of the Cuban economy interests. This war was mainly fought by marine battle, and the war ended the colonial rule in Cuba and the U.S., and it gained the U.S. territories in the Pacific and in Latin America. To determine if a war is just, we must first look at if the cause is just. Well, the Cubans had been struggling for independence from Spain, then the U.S. had sympathy for the Cubans, but also the U.S. wanted to gain more territory. Next, we see if the war was lawfully declared. Spain was the one to declare war first, and then the very next day the U.S. declared war on them. President McKinley from the U.S. was the one to lawfully declare it. Now we see if they had good intentions behind the war. The U.S. wanted to help Cuba regain their independence. The U.S. and Spain also fought for territory and resources, and also the Spanish threatened the United States. We also looked to see if the war was the last resort. Well, the Cubans had been struggling for a while, and the Spanish had been suspected for blowing up the USS Maine, and the Spanish also said they'd fight to the very last drop of Spanish blood before anyone took their land. We next see if there was a reasonable chance of success. The Spanish did not have a strong army, but the U.S. did have a strong army and good chances. And for the first battle, the Spanish had not readied their army to pull out a win. And finally, we looked to see if the goal was proportional to the offense. The Spanish lost fairly easily, and there was more suffering on Spain's side. The U.S. deaths total was 3,549, and the Spanish deaths total was between 55,000 and 60,000. So does this information conclude that the war really was just? In a sense, the war was just because it was clearly a morally good thing for the U.S. to help Cuba become independent from Spain, but on the other hand, the U.S. was also fighting for more territory like Puerto Rico and the Philippines, and in that sense, the war was not just.